Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal. Arsenal are going to open fresh talks with Bukayo Saka and his representatives after the World Cup. Youri Tielemans is going to push for a move in January, and Real Madrid have entered the race to sign Cody Gakpo with Manchester United and now Arsenal as well. So we're going to be diving into all that. Hit the like button. We are also going to be talking about alternatives to Bukayo Mudryk, including Ferran Torres and Marco Asensio. I don't like those names, but we'll talk about it later in the video. Let's get this video to 300 likes. Subscribe if you've not, and of course, make sure you do turn on notifications so that whenever we are live, you'll be able to come on and have your say as well. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the story from TBR Sport claiming that Arsenal are going to open fresh talks with the representatives of Bukayo Saka after the World Cup. Now, it looks like the old talks actually did break down. Fabrizio Romano thought they were actually very close, and he said Saka has the same ambitions and the same dreams as Arsenal. Mikel Arteta as well came out and said the player wants to stay. We want him to stay at the club as well. So everything is going to be agreed within a very, very short period of time. But then I say this, if you let a player like Saka go into the World Cup, he's going to blow it. He's going to become one of the, huge stars at that tournament. And that's what he did. He scored so many goals for the English national team. He had a very good performance in their last game against France. And now his valuation, in my opinion, has actually gone up. And his representatives are looking, can we take this guy to Liverpool? Can we take this guy to Manchester City? That is my only problem with Arsenal delaying to get Saka's contract extended prior to the World Cup. Now we're going to be competing with all these other clubs. Luckily, his contract runs down in 2024, so we have some time to deal with and work with to extend his contract. But I think it was a very weak move from Arsenal. It was a very, very weak move from Arsenal to allow this deal, to allow these negotiations extend beyond the World Cup. He should have signed that deal before the World Cup, because now he's one of the hottest properties in the world right now. To be honest, look. If Bukayo Mudryk is 70 million euros, Saka is way above than that. He's been at the World Cup. He's proven that he can be a very good player at the World Cup. We're talking about Cody Gakpo scoring goals, but how about Saka? How many goals did he score at the World Cup? And no one even talks about him as a breakout star. Of course, I think Gakpo has not really played at that huge level for a long time. Saka has done that. But Saka has been mesmerizing as well. He's been absolutely sensational. So I'm quite now getting scared because Manchester City are waiting in the shadows. They have already had a failed project in Jack Grealish. They'll definitely want someone in. And with Riyad Mahrez as well, probably going to leave in the next 2 seasons, Saka could be a player they look at. That boy is absolutely good for Pep Guardiola. But anyway, let's wait and see. A new round of talks is going to be opened between Edu, Arsenal representatives, and Saka's representatives. We hope this time we can get something positive out of there. Otherwise, it doesn't look good. Guys, it is not really looking good. Now, in terms of new contracts, Reiss Nelson has said he would love to stay at Arsenal, and Arsenal might actually give him a new deal, a new long-term contract to stay at the Emirates Stadium. Now, I want your thoughts on this one. Reiss Nelson, I said yesterday that if I were to let some players go out of this Arsenal side just to accommodate more quality, more brilliance, more vibrance in terms of new signings, the players I would let go include Cedric Soares, include Reiss Nelson, and Rob Holding as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I think he really did very well when he went to Feyenoord in the Dutch Eredivisie last campaign. He's come back and he's become somewhat a changed player. But I don't see him, hit those levels the likes of Saka are hitting. I don't see him hit those levels the likes of Martinelli are hitting right now. I could be wrong though. Don't get me wrong, I could be wrong. But I just don't see that kind of star in him. And I'm not saying Arsenal should be all about stars and every player should be a star, because Tomiyasu is not a huge star, but then I want him around. But what I'm trying to say here, guys, is maybe Reiss Nelson is one of the players that just need to follow the path that Guendouzi followed, the path that such players like Nicola Pepe are following right now. Go out there, find a new club that really wants you, find a club that's really going to appreciate you, play football for them, and make a name for yourself. Be a hero for that football club. Is he ever gonna be a hero for Arsenal? Probably not. Maybe he's gonna. Maybe if he wants to be like Jesse Lingard. I love Man United, and I'm gonna be here whether I'm playing football or not. If that is the ideology behind his staying at the club, I got no problems with that. But with Bukayo Mudryk probably coming in through the door, Martinelli, Saka, and Emile Smith were coming back as well, I really think Reiss Nelson is either going to need to work so hard for his expectations of game time to be met by Mikel Arteta, or he's going to be very, very lucky. Apart from that, he's going to be on the bench all the time. Now, Ben Jacobs has also been speaking about Youri Tielemans, and he says although Leicester City might not want to sell Youri Tielemans in January, he's likely to push for a move if Arsenal are seriously knocking on the door. And that is some positive bit of news this morning, because I felt like with Youri Tielemans, we were going to kind of hit a dead end in January. The problem with Leicester is they're so comfortable. I think they're like Aston Villa. They're very, very comfortable, and both clubs do actually have players that we would love to sign. Douglas Luiz at Aston Villa, a player that I really, really love, and then Youri Tielemans at Leicester City, a player that I really, really rate highly. But so Leicester are not under pressure. They know any club that wants him will come in, and whether you want it or not, you'll have to pay the money we want, or you wait until the summer and get him on a free. So Ben Jacobs says Arsenal do have an advantage that they have agreed personal terms with Youri Tielemans, and he's likely to push for a move through the door in January. So look, I think Leicester are not this kind of club that usually refuse to sell, but they usually set crazy and stupid prices around their stocks. Okay, sorry to call players stocks, but I just saw it. I just saw the one of the CEOs at Red Bull Salzburg calling Noah Okafor a stock, and I was like, okay, that is a fancy word to use on the stream. But so look, I think Youri Tielemans and his representatives will put in some bit of pressure on Leicester, but it won't be that much. On one side, you have a Leicester City that do hope actually he can sign a new deal. On the other side, you have a player who's frustrated and doesn't even want to hear anything concerned with contract negotiations with Leicester City. So my opinion is a little bit of pressure, a little bit of seriousness from Arsenal. I don't think we were really serious in the summer. We were serious on the player side. We agreed personal terms. We promised him a good contract and all that. But in terms of talking to Leicester, I think our serious levels were actually lacking. Okay, so a little bit of seriousness from Arsenal, a little bit of seriousness from Leicester, in the negotiations, and some bit of pressure from Youri Tielemans. That should do the deal. I feel like that one could happen anytime. It's all about Arsenal going in there with 10 million. I know that money will actually be chased away, but if you go in with 10, you can easily see their reaction and know how much are they willing to settle for. If it is above 20, then we wait for the summer. If it is below 20, do it in January, because the Premier League title, I don't know, what's the prize money for the Premier League? Is it 100 million pounds, 200 million pounds? I'm not really sure, but I think it's worth it. I think it's really, really worth it. Paying 18 million pounds, 20 million pounds for a player in January, just so you can win the Premier League. So that is some bit of positive news, and I really, really love the sound of that. Still, Ben Jacobs talking about Dusan Vlahovic just in a moment. He also said that Arsenal can get Dusan Vlahovic in January if they wanted to. But Arsenal have actually sailed away, according to Ryan Taylor writing for the Express. Arsenal have sailed away from this move. They feel it is a move that is not worth investing more time in it. But Ben Jacobs says it's another deal that is open. It's another deal that can actually happen. Fabrizio said that there are no contacts between Arsenal and Juve, Arsenal and the representatives of the player. Right now, Dusan is actually focusing on healing his injury. Okay, that is what he's focusing on. He's not focusing on a transfer. He's not focusing on a move. He's actually focusing on recovering from his injury. And I'm gonna say this with Dusan Vlahovic: wait until the summer. That deal is going to be very interesting. We are gonna have a bidding war on Dusan Vlahovic. Look, I think Juve find themselves in a very unfortunate situation. They would love to keep him. They would love to keep all their players, but they can't. I think they've done really, really shady business in the past, and now they have to let go of all the quality and all the paradise they've actually built. Just imagine losing Weston McKennie, losing Vlahovic, losing Federico Chiesa, losing all those players. It's saddening. It's a sad story if I were a Juve fan. But this is a deal that I think Arsenal should try on in the summer. In January, it's going to take a lot of time. Like, these guys are super proud. These guys, I think their pride levels are shit. But when we wait until the summer, and we've probably won the Premier League, everyone will actually want to play for us. Now, everyone will look at us in a very different kind of light. And that is where you go in, talk to Juventus, talk to the player, and sign him right there and then at the end of the season. It will take us a lot of time in January, and I don't think Vlahovic is actually our priority. I don't think it's actually our focus in the winter transfer window. So Ben Jacobs says, one, we can do if we wanted, but according to what I know and what I'm hearing, in January, not one that we're actually wanting. And also, Joao Felix actually prefers a move to PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, other than Aston Villa and Arsenal. Now, I felt like I saw this coming, okay? I never felt like Arsenal do have an upper hand on Joao Felix, just like a few other reports, including the Marca, were writing that Arsenal were close to agreeing personal terms. That is complete cap, like real cap. To be honest, I think Joao Felix and his talents are better suited for a club like PSG. The price tag, number one, but then also in terms of being that kind of the next guy in the project. So if he goes to PSG, he knows he will get the money he wants. He knows he will also get that kind of limelight alongside Kylian Mbappe. And Neymar is also about to leave the stage as well. So maybe PSG might need that kind of star, right? If you don't have stars in PSG, the French league is going to be the most boring league in the world. Like, not in terms of the football, but in terms of the publicity. So you need a player like Joao Felix, and they need, as a league, actually, as French League One football, they need to try to sign Joao Felix. I think that's now alright. We are alright without Joao Felix. Like, if I got Mudryk or Cody Gakpo, I don't think I'll be crying over Joao Felix. Look, I love him. I rate him a lot. He's a sensational talent. But I think it's still beyond what Arsenal can offer, especially in January, right? 100 million euros on Joao Felix. If we don't actually get him, get that same 100 million euros and spend it on Jude Bellingham. I'll be ecstatic. I'll be very, very happy to see such a move happen in the summer. So Felix wants to go to PSG. No problems there. Absolutely no problems. Now, the other alternatives that we have for Bukayo Mudryk, if the deal doesn't happen, number one is Cody Gakpo. Real Madrid are in there now. Together with Manchester United, Man United leading that race by a mile, right? They're leading the race by a mile. I think they'll get him. In my opinion, the play is focused on them. I think PSV will want to sell to Manchester United as well for any reason that I don't understand. And then Man United do have Erik ten Hag, who is a key figure when it comes to breaking these deals, okay? Especially for players that are coming out from the Dutch Eredivisie. So in my opinion, Cody Gakpo is a good one, but one that will actually lead us to a bidding war Arsenal don't want that. Arteta doesn't want bidding wars. I also don't like bidding wars because you end up buying a player for much more than you should have bought him at because you're competing, because you're bidding, you're in a bidding war. Now, the next player is one that I really, really don't want Arsenal to sign, and that is Ferran Torres. No. Straight no. Ferran Torres to Arsenal, no. Like, no. I've looked at him at Spain. I've looked at him at Barcelona. No. Right? The reason as to why he actually doesn't start for Xavi's Barcelona is one, he doesn't meet the requirements, doesn't meet the standards that Barca want. And for me, right now, Arsenal and Barcelona, we are at the same level. I'm telling you, forget the history. Right now, we are not even at the same level. We are leading the Premier League, the Premier League table by a difference of 5 points. And they're leading the La Liga by a difference of what, 2-3 points. We are ahead. We are ahead of Barcelona right now. So we cannot get a flop from Barcelona in Ferran Torres and actually bring him at Arsenal. I know he's probably been at Manchester City, and that's why Mikel wants him, because we have almost a similar scouting network as Manchester City's. But can we go to someone else, please? Can we move on? Can we not sign this guy? Just this guy. We would rather sign Marco Asensio, who is another alternative. I think Asensio, again, he plays for Spain. He plays for Real Madrid. And I watch him all the time. I look at him all the time. I think he's a better player, a better winger than Ferran Torres. So don't sign Ferran Torres. Get Marco Asensio if we cannot get Mykhailo Mudryk. That is my opinion. Hit the like button and your thoughts in the comment box below. And I'll see you soon.